Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Inquisition with Black Heart Minis. Hope you're all well this week. It's hard to believe it's nearly the middle of March. It'll soon be Christmas, folks. And on Monday, every person in Ireland will be drunk as a skunk because it's Paddy's Day. Hope you're all going to have a good one this week. So yeah, we're just waiting for Casey, whenever he'll turn up, and Black Heart Minis to turn up as well. Hey Travelling Top, hope you're well, mate. Hey Arian Nevis, hope you're well, pal. If you want to witness some dog wrestling, I'm going to show you the puppy. What pair of idiots, man. But what can you do? Dogs be dogs, man. Dogs be dogs. So yeah, if there's any questions in the chat for the guest, as always, folks, throw them in and we'll try and get them as soon as we can. So yeah, how's all your week been? He's been up to much this week. Hey Dreamman, how you doing, pal? Thanks for joining. Hope you're well, bud. If you can hear the noise in the background, it's not gremlins, it's two dogs play fighting. Enough. Hey man, how you doing?
Evening, dude.
Yeah, how you doing, pal? You doing well?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, mate. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no man, thanks very much for coming on. Just want to show the folks what you're all missing and what you can maybe hear in the background. There's two dogs play fighting. So the wee one's underneath the footstool. Honestly. I'll need to move them because they end up just being too loud. So yeah, I was just waiting for Penn. Usually he's about 4 days late, as always, with the Inquisition. To be fair, it's actually his wee fella's bedtime, so he's probably trying to fight him to get him to sleep.
No trouble.
So yeah. So might as well just jump straight into it whilst we're waiting for Casey. So for folks that don't know you, if you just give yourself a wee introduction and then we'll get ourselves started.
Sure thing. My name's Ollie. I go by Black Heart Minis on socials, and I have been painting miniatures for about 5 months now.
And what was it that got you into the painting the miniatures?
I've been thinking about how to answer this question, so probably the fact like Henry Cavill being in the media a lot and Space Marine 2. Not that I've only played the mission of Space Marine. I don't remember ever really being into Warhammer as a kid, but it turns out apparently I was right before I started playing sport, and then I played contact sport for 25 plus years. So all those memories have been wiped because I don't ever remember painting a miniature before or holding a brush really. So what got me into Warhammer was I was personally going through like a really difficult time, looking for something, an outlet, something creative to do with my time that wasn't just sitting in front of a TV, letting the stress of life get to me, you know. And I was in town one day walking past the Warhammer store that I've walked past hundreds of times and never really gone into, that I remember. And I walked in, was looking at the Getting Started magazines and some of the introductory sets, and I just picked some up, chatting to some of the staff in there, got on with them. And that's it. I bought the Getting Started magazine, the Infernus and Paints set, Infernus Marines and Paint set, and the Paints and Tools set. I took those home and I didn't touch them for a week. I was I was so scared to touch them. I watched a few tutorials and thought, oh my God, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. And then I spent the next week binge watching every tutorial that I could find on how to paint a Space Marine. So yeah, probably 100 hours or plus. I was like eating and sleeping, painting tutorials until I felt confident enough to have a go myself. And then my first week of painting, I ruined so many brushes.
Yeah.
I still didn't have a clue what I was doing, to be honest. And you could tell really from the state of my first Space Marine to the state of my last, how much I've improved over time. But yeah, I just binge watching tutorials, and I fell in love with the painting side of it. It just fits my personality. I can just hyper focus on this little project and yeah, pour my creativity into it. And then at the end of it, you've got this really cool little miniature that you've created from this little grey plastic, or whatever colour the plastic is, because a lot of the plastic I've been painting is either green or blue at the moment, because I'm on the new Kill Team starter set. Oh, sorry. How you doing, Casey?
Yeah. I keep my time as usual, boys. I apologise. I had a printer on in the background, and I didn't think anyone would like to hear it.
No trouble at all, dude.
So, what was the first Marine that you? What was it? Was it a Space Marine? Was the first thing that you painted, and do you have him there?
Yeah, I've got him here somewhere. Give me one sec. The first one I painted was from the Getting Started magazine. This little guy, in a focus. Me sat with my big head in the background. That was the first one.
For a first Marine, that is actually,
I mean,
fucking pretty good.
I'm pretty obsessed. And like I said, I wasn't confident. I took it home and couldn't bring myself to touch it. So I watched hundreds of hours of Warhammer tutorials. Duncan and Peachy became my best mates. So I was going to bed listening to them and just watching back to back. What's his name? Everyone's names are going to disappear out of my head now. Infernal Brush. He's absolute fucking genius. I watched his Ultramarine tutorial hundreds of times, and then had a go myself, and realised the little dry palette just wasn't for me. I was ruining brush after brush. I didn't have a clue what I was doing at the time. And I improved over time. I've got all my miniatures in this little box. I magnified it more. Done that. I've watched every tutorial known to man when it comes to this hobby. So, yeah.
I'm going to jump in with this one, because this is what's intrigued me about yourself. You're relatively new. You're burst onto the scene, as it were, and your quality of stuff is pretty. Well, I'm not going to. It's better than mine, and that's. I'm no benchmark. I'll say that though. Do you think, and this is something I've asked quite a lot of people, that there's a question of natural talent versus hard work? Because for yourself, I look at your stuff and I think this is someone who potentially just naturally gets it. Listening to you there, just sort of saying how much you had to listen to and how confident you had to get in yourself before you even dabbled with it. Do you think you are that sort of little bit of it clicks for you? You get some of this stuff, or is it just a case of you had to sit there and do hours upon hours upon hours?
It's hard to say. I started this hobby at the same time as a good friend of mine who's been into Warhammer for a long time, but never really got into the miniature side of it. He's always wanted to play, and he didn't delve into the miniature side for a long time. He was playing a lot of Total War. I think I've got that on Steam, but I never really got into it as a game. I'm more roguelites and shooters, man. So we both started the journey at the same time, almost, and I just obsessed over the painting. And as I said, watched all these tutorials before I felt confident. But I would, like, he's always telling me, "No, you're just naturally gifted. You've just got it. You've just got it. You've just got it. I can't paint." He's always telling me, "I can't paint for shit. I'll never be as good as you." And I'm like, "Well, it's a skill that you can learn, but there is a threshold of talent versus skill. You know, some people are just good at something, and others can learn that skill and they could get that good if they put the time and hours in, like you say. I've got, like, I never really held a brush before this that I remember. Like I was saying to Dunk, when I outed myself to my friends and family, like, oh, I'm painting miniatures now, by the way. And they're like, oh, what? And my brother was the one who told me. He was like, you used to do that as a kid. And I'm like, what? I don't remember that at all. I don't, honest to God, because apparently it was like, I was age 8, so 30 years ago. And that's right before I started contact sport. And then I did contact sport for 20 odd years, and it's just all been knocked out, I reckon. My long-term memory is shot. So whether I was really good back then and have just retained it, like muscle memory, I couldn't tell you because I haven't got a miniature from back then. No photo evidence, just my brother and my mum saying, yeah, I'm sure you used to do that. So it's just, yeah, there's no hard evidence, unfortunately. But I will say some of my grandparents were artists. My granddad was a painter. My great-grandfather was a painter and a photographer. So maybe it's like generational skill that I've just picked up. They were both.
Next you'll be saying that your uncle was Monet or something, and your great uncle was.
If you want me to go into my family history, I'll blow you mind.
That's it. You'll be out there doing landscapes like it's no thing.
My grandparents, my great-grandfather and my grandfather were both artists and surgeons, so steady hands and painters. So whether that's just something I picked up from them, I should say that just to make anyone who's struggling not feel as bad. But I did watch, like I say, thousands of hours of tutorials. I still do now before I go to paint something that I'm not confident in. Like how do I paint black? Currently trying to paint black and red, 2 colours I've not really painted much of. So yeah,
it would be. You've already touched on, but is there any other go-to tutorials or people that you follow that you would go straight to watch their videos first before you go to other people's?
When I started, I was watching mostly all the stuff on Warhammer's channel because I was new to the scene, didn't know anything really. So I was going straight to the source, Warhammer, and I've got the Citadel Colour app, which I found very helpful in enabling me to buy more paint more than anything. But that's really helpful for people who don't know anything about the universe. I don't know much about the lore. My friend's obsessed with the lore. He knows all about it. He helped dream up the lore for my custom chapter for me, which is really cool. But Duncan Rhodes, I guess, because I learned him from the Warhammer TV channel. Peachy, again, same thing. Anyone that I've seen on there. Rogue Hobbies, Louise from Rogue Hobbies, Rob the Honest Wargamer and his Slapshot video, and then when I started like getting into the scene, Infernal Brush, I started learning what's a Golden Demon painter, you know. So I will just search the scheme I'm looking for more than anything on YouTube rather than going direct to a particular person, because there's so many small creators out there that are putting out content as well that are really good. And then that's when I saw another improvement, I would say, was when I started getting into the scene on Instagram. And I thought, initially, I'm going to use this as like a scrapbook so I can just document each mini at a time. And I started maybe a couple of weeks after I started the hobby. I painted 5 miniatures before I posted on Instagram. I might have posted 1 or 2 on Reddit or something, because that was what I was more active on personally, before I got into Instagram. And then when I started like getting followers and people started liking my stuff, that's when I started meeting other people in the hobby at the same sort of level as me, from a content side or from a painting side. And I've made loads of connections and friends since starting Instagram, and I'd tell anyone to do that. If you're in the hobby and just on the outside looking in, just start, even if it's just a post at the odd photo of what you're doing, whips and stuff, because there's so many people out there who are just really, really cool people. And
then there's me and Casey, but we've already got a question in the chat.
I popped up in your DMs one day to say, "Oh, one of your links isn't working," and then all of a sudden I've been invited onto this podcast. It blew my mind. I was like, "Holy fuck! I've been painting 3 months, and these guys want to chat to me about it. What we're
about, man.
Yeah,
what we're
But
about.
it's not about how many people you've got or
How new
how
you
long
are.
you've been playing. But when you
Yeah.
said to me that you'd only just started, and the fact that you reached out and basically said that one of our links wasn't working, it just kind of goes to show that like we're always trying to give back. But we do have a question in the chat already from Kyle M Tattoo. What paints do you guys prefer, and what basing stuff do you is your go-to? So I'm a cheapskate, right? So I'll pretty much buy any paints. So like I've got Green Stuff World and I've got more Green Stuff World. I've got some Humbro, but most of my paint stuff is Citadel. Try break away from that. Base and stuff, whatever's cheapest on the retailer that I'm using. But we do have a nice wee segue into orange brushes, 10% off, and Sage Scenics, which is our new sponsor as well for a wee while. If you're needing anything basin wise, orange brushes, people, Inquisition, 10% off.
I'm ready with all the sponsors today, boys.
Yeah. So
I got them all.
what would your go-to paints would be, Ollie?
So I started on Citadel, obviously. Everything I started on was straight out of the Warhammer shop. So Citadel paints were my first experience, and I started on like the OG Warhammer tutorials with Duncan when Duncan and Peachy were back on there. So I started out with the basics. I haven't really ventured out too far from Citadel just yet. I'm still a bit of I'm a bit of a basic bitch when it comes to my paints at the moment. I have bought some Army Painter paints. I had a bit more experience with some different brands. I took part in the Travelling Man painting competition, Super Brush Bowl. They sent me like 4 random paints. One of them was a Citadel paint, but I got to try a Vallejo game colour, which I didn't enjoy the colour at all. It was a difficult one to work with. And then, what was the other one? An AK, and I think an Army Painter war paints. So I've since bought some speed paints. I've not used them much. I've been using my my Citadel contrast paints for now, because again, I'm following schemes that I'm getting from the Citadel colour app, and I've mostly been trying to replicate the box art, because I'm just proper obsessive when it comes to stuff like that, and I need it really helpful to me as a new painter just to have something to follow and to try to aspire to, I guess.
Yeah.
But getting to a heavy metal style is fucking insane. It's about patience, really, isn't it? How long you want to spend painting a miniature. Like, if you don't want to spend 30 hours painting a miniature, you're probably not going to be able to master the heavy metal box art style. Not that I can preach about that, because I'm certainly not doing that. I'm maybe getting one stage of highlights on there, and doing like a recess shade, things like that. And it does take me a long time to complete a miniature. I'm not a speed painter by any means. The current project I'm working on, I feel like I've been doing it for a month, and I've only painted a backpack, and it's not at the level I want it to be, so I'm not finished. Yeah, it's a really fun hobby, and like I say, just ties in with my obsessions and my brain, really.
What about you, Casey? What paints do you prefer to use?
I'll use bloody anything. I'll go down if it works, I'll go home base and pick up some bloody Dulux. I don't care. I would say the one thing I am particular about is I will always use a colour forge spray, because I think they're good. You get a bigger can, and they're also on Amazon, so you can buy a can and not have to pay for shipping on it. Contrast I dabble with, not a fan of it personally. I do use them as washes rather than actual paints. Works a lot better for me. I like certain colours, I would say, that I would only go to. Like, I use the Vallejo Air for metallics, because they're just the Monument, what is it? The Bold Titanium White by Monument Hobbies. Is it Monument? I can't remember what they're called. Best white you can get. And then the rest of it, it's just a smattering of Citadel, Army Painter, and Vallejo. But I don't know. Are we allowed to use Vallejo yet? Are they still on strike? I've not heard anything of it. They went on strike donkeys ago, and everyone was like, "Don't use Vallejo. They don't pay their paint makers." And I was like, "Oh, all right." And this was months. to go, so fuck knows. But yeah.
Well,
And basing, I use dirt from the garden. Bake some dirt, mix it up into a texture paint, slap it on your base, give it a dry brush, and you ain't got to pay 50 quid for whatever you need in your doors. Just Mother Nature provides, man.
That's
are you
it.
baking?
But we are sponsored by Siege Scenics.
When you're getting dirt out your garden, are you baking it first?
Yep. Yeah, let it dry out naturally, then give it a bake, so then it's killing off all the germs and stuff in it. I've also actually got somewhere hidden away a pot of sand that I bought back from
Margate.
Norman. From I bought a thing of sand back from Normandy on one of the D-Day
Alright,
beaches.
fucking were you in D-Day, were you? Fucking 1944,
Yeah,
were you?
you know what? I thought that one day I'll do a bolt action army and I'll use actual stand from D-Day on it and it would look sick. And then I just can't be asked anymore. It's somewhere. I think there's a dead bug in it that I've suffocated. Dead French bug. I imported back French bugs. There you go. Don't come after me, HMRC.
So it's your fault that there's a bed bug epidemic then because you brought it back.
No, that's just dirty fuckers on the tube in London who don't wash. I left London. That's not me no more.
So in terms of bases,
yep.
I haven't had much experience basing miniatures just yet. I've based about 7 in total, and I used sand and some slate to imitate rocks. As you said, a bit of dry. I've since bought some of the Siege Scenics, and I intend to use that on my current little project, this marine I'm kit bashing. But I bought some cork, and basically I've just been reaching out to people I know in the community for tips. Rather than there's 101,000 basing videos out there.
Yeah,
loads from Eons of Battle. He's got tons, but they're so fast, and they're going from stage 1 to stage 9.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been chatting to people I know in the hobby. One of them's in the chat, Torhammer. Great hobby friend I've made there. He's always sending me nice long little podcast voice notes on explaining things for me or doing little videos showing me how I should cut a hand off a miniature.
It's amazing you say that because you end up having like pretty good connections. Like I would always reach out. There's like 2 people in particular that I would reach out to for like help and stuff. One would be Infernal Miniatures, who works for Green Stuff World, and the other one would be the Sassy Nerd one, a boy in Spain. Like, I think you've got somebody that you reach out to as well, Casey. Would that be right? It's amazing how we all reach out to people just like for wee tips.
So there's a couple, there's 1 or 2, but my main go-to guy, he's a guest from us in July, Cattle Rabbit Scale Model Studios. Brilliant videos. Always keeps it nice, short and simple. Always uses the basic Citadel stuff because he knows that's what people use. I actually used his basing tutorial to make this little cork broken roadway thing, and I tell you what, it came out so bloody well. It was a liquid green stuff and 3 paints and a texture paint and done. So it's amazing what is out there and who's able to give you advice. And I would always say if you just ask, man. And like I'm not me and Dunk, we know stuff that works, we know stuff that don't, and I think it's all about also finding what works for you.
Yeah,
that's the big thing. I know, Ollie, you're saying that you've sort of sat down, you've watched all these hours and hours of videos without naming them and naming and shaming them, because that's not what we're about here. Have you come across somewhere you just sort of sit there and it just, for love nor money, it just doesn't go in, and you're like, what the are you talking about, mate?
Oh yeah, without naming people, for sure. There are certain creators out there. I mean, some people you just can't listen to, right?
Yeah.
without a nail going through your head. So there's certainly some out there, or somewhere I think there's some big creators where I think you're skipping way too much. I definitely won't name them, but like, oh, this is what you do here, transition complete. And I'm like, wow, that was fun, but that's not telling me how to get there.
What
So I
I hate.
like a lot of creators that are doing lives on things like this, where they're just showing themselves off and talking to their communities, things like that. Twitch is good for it. There's a bunch of good creators out there doing tutorials in a live stream manner. Millie paints, and she chats to me as well. She'll chime in on my DM sometimes, and that's amazing. Like creators that I'm watching, think like looking up to, thinking, oh, I wish I could be doing what they're doing. You know, making that a full. Imagine that was a full-time job. I should be careful because there's people from my work watching this. Yeah, that would be a dream for anyone, right? But I've only been in this hobby a few months, and just to have connections like that who are being supportive and egging you on is just really cool. It's and again, the content side of it is another outlet for me because I work in PR and comms and do a bit of content, or I used to. I'm more on leadership side of things now where I'm working, so I'm a bit busier but doing less of the content side of things. So this is again another outlet, another creative outlet for me, and that's really helpful for me because
Wait, another question from Kyle. What's your least favourite Space Marine to paint or model? For me, and I'm pretty sure Casey's going to agree with me in this, fucking flayed ones with the Necrons. They are horrible, horrible wee
No,
bastards to build and to paint.
it was just a building of right because my painting, like I say, my Necrons are just airbrushed. Like I don't mess about with certain things, and because Necrons are bulk army, I put together 40 warriors, and it did my nut in. So I was just spraying them one color, spraying them another, highlight, airbrush, done. But sticking them together, I put this in the Warhammer Boys. What do you call it? Oh, Discord the other day. The sticking Necron blade ones together is like torture because they're little jabby things. They get under your fingernails, and it is like you're getting interrogated by the bloody GRU. It's like, well, you've got ways of making you talk, and they're stabbing you with Necron blade ones. Ugh.
it's tough for me to answer that because the majority of stuff I've started with has been like the Getting Started magazine, the Infernus and Paints Marine set, and then the Kill Team starter set. So a great, like pretty much everything I painted to begin with has been push fit. I have painted, so I painted like 5 Infernus Marines. They were all push fit, and then I painted the Scouts, the Kill Team of Scouts. I painted 5 of them, and that was a big shock because they are tiny in comparison to the starter. So they were more difficult to build. They were way more overwhelming because I was like, oh my God, these things are tiny. And back when I started, I wasn't using a lot of the tools I'm using now. When I first started, I was just painting under lights in my room and this dodgy hobby light I found on Amazon with a little magnifier. So I was getting a really bad bash, like hunching over, trying to find the best spot where I could paint, looking through this, and this thing's terrible. I don't advise anyone using something like that. So since then, I've upgraded to a nice task lamp so to light my area much better. I've got a magnification headset. I went to reading glasses with some magnification in for a while, but they gave me the worst headache. So again, unless you've got like prescription magnification, I wouldn't suggest that. I've got this thing called a vision aid now. It's just like what old people use to do like textile work and stuff. But I tell you what, this has improved my painting tenfold. It's this little thing, you put a magnification in, and you just wear it like that.
I've seen them. Yeah.
Tell you what, give that.
Skagam, do us a favour, stick it back on.
Stick it back on.
Yeah, stick it back on.
I have my fingerprints all over it, but there we go. This is clean. Yeah.
You look like the wee fella from.
There we go.
You look like the wee fella from Toy Story 2 that puts Woody back together. Do it with them on.
Someone mentioned that before to me, but I'll tell you what, it's so helpful because when I started learning, I was watching loads of YouTube, which is on a tablet. I'm watching a tablet in bed, like an 11-inch tablet, and that thing, the Space Marines on there appear about 50 times bigger than in your hand. So yeah, 3.5 times magnification. I tell you what, 30 quid on Amazon. That's it. That's up my painting game.
it's something I've always thought about looking into is one of them things. So I will take that recommendation on board, but it's just a bit of a...
I've heard big creators say don't use them because they're bad for your eyes, but to be honest, I think that's BS because jewelers have been using them for an entire career and their eyesight's not getting any worse. Do you know what I mean? And these are made for people that are aging, that need better vision to read text. Like, have you ever tried reading the text in a codex? What the actual... I need superpowers to read that. Like, if I'm paying that much money, I want it in PDF form as well, so I like in an accessible format, so that I can read it in bed in like big font. I've got 20/20 vision, but I'm not going to stress over reading like text.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Someone with 20/20 vision's having troubles trying to paint a tiny marine because I should wear glasses and I just refuse to. And
I would like to see you with your glasses on because I couldn't picture you with glasses.
It ain't happening. I haven't worn them for like 20 years. Nope.
Sorry, Swedish Mini Painter says he's got the magnification glasses too. Honestly, they're absolute lifesaver. They're really comfortable as well. They come with like a head strap, or you can wear them as glasses with arms, so you can just quickly flip them up. You can just lift the screen out of your way if you want. But once you're used to using it, it does take a while because you've got to get used to looking through and having your hands in a particular way. But bracing your hands, you know, you'll get used to it pretty quick, and then you can just, with reading glasses, I found your eyes were always magnified, and any movement you do, it just gave me a headache, made me feel sick. But those vision aids, that you don't always have to train your eye down them because it's away from your eyes. You can just rest your eyes anywhere. You can have a TV on and just be looking at that, and then all of a sudden look down it, focus, get that line just how you want
Because maybe if you wore glasses, you'd actually finish something, including your husband.
Wait. No. We're not going there.
Too late. It's been done. So, Ollie, you touched on it just at the start. You said that you did contact sport for a good 20 odd years. Now, you're too pretty to be a front row rugby player, so you must have been a winger or a 15 or something playing rugby, were you?
I played rugby for a little bit, but I got kicked off by the refs every time I made a tackle because I was tackling too high. Watched too much American football movies, I reckon. No, I played inline and ice hockey mostly.
Okay.
Mostly like indoor hockey, so inline hockey, so it's skate hockey. You know, stuff you saw the Mighty Ducks doing out in a basketball court. So I did that for 20 plus years, and then when I went to university, I played American football, and I was always, you sound too pretty, I was always a defender. So in hockey, I was the enforcer. I was the goon, if you've ever seen those movies. I was the guy that just hit people and scared them away from the goal. And then when I played American football, I was an inside linebacker. So again, I was a defender, and I was just find the ball and hit the guy as hard as you can. Yeah, and I did that for 4 or 5 years at uni. No, 4 years. I was there for 4 years.
See, yeah, there's that brain injury coming back. You can't remember how long you did it.
Well, I stopped playing American football after I tore my rotator cuff. I made a tackle and put this guy down, and then and I felt fine. But as soon as I straightened my back, my shoulder just fell, and I was like, "Oh, I can't feel my shoulder." I've gone off to the paramedics and was like, "Something wrong with my shoulder." He's just lifted my arm, torn all the muscles were torn in it. So it took about a year and a half to heal that. And yeah, my back. I went straight out of school into the building trade for like 7-8 years before I went to uni. So I did my fair share of hard labour as well before going back to uni and partying for 4 years. Yeah, and since then found my career in comms and marketing.
Yeah.
So just on the ice hockey and the hockey and stuff like that, right? Because it's something I have a very limited interest in that my cousins like going to watch a team in London play. I've gone with them every now and again, and for me, it's just a bit of a piss up and just to watch people have a rock. Great fun. How do you find it? Like, I don't know if you like how you did when you played and stuff, but how do you think the game is over here compared to America? Because obviously it's like
The same with both sports. So both sports over
Mm,
here are nothing in comparison to they are in America or Canada for ice hockey, Canada and America for the NHL and that, and the Canadian Hockey League. But and same with the NFL. I know a few people. A chap from my university team went to America to play for an American university. Massive guy. Went to play O line or D line. I forget. So you've got to be a big, strong athlete to make it over in America in American football
yeah,
and hockey. You just got to have the skill, I guess. It's a really fast and brutal game. It's my favourite. It was my favourite sport. But if you ask me to name many teams or anything like that, I was always a player. I don't really watch sport. Watching sport's not really my cup of tea, to be fair. I'd rather be watching anime or some murder documentary. But I was massively into sci-fi and fantasy and all that growing up, to be fair. So I've always been like parallel to this sort of hobby and universe. And my dad would have loved this hobby. He's the one who got me into sci-fi, fantasy. He was massively into Tolkien. I was reading The Hobbit and stuff as a kid, and The Lord of the Rings and Dune, things like that. So I was always into sci-fi and all that sort of dark fantasy. So yeah, this sort of universe is, I love it. I know a huge amount about it. Like, if anyone wants to like teach me the lore and save me reading these tiny words in a codex,
The best person, the two best people I can put you on to watch lore videos if you're painting, right? I usually put them on when I'm working. Is Sandman of Terror, former guest. He does a lot of lore videos, and the granddaddy of them all, Lewitton09. He does such deep dives. Like you're talking an hour and a half, and there's like maybe 5 different episodes for the Emperor. There's maybe 4 or 5 different episodes for Astartes and the Grey Knights and all that sort of stuff. So if you're uh, looking for, fuck you, Taz, man,
yeah.
you put me right off
No,
there.
she's not wrong.
everyone is
She's
an
not wrong.
asshole. Yeah, that's what I hear. It's all just very grimdark. No good guys, apart from maybe the salamanders. Is what I hear.
No,
Yeah, I'm going to jump.
everybody's an arsehole. All of them are arsehole.
Oh, ourselves. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm going to jump on. Like, we're going to stay off topic for a bit here now because I
Yeah.
think off topic now. We always segue into it. Obviously, you've mentioned the sort of sci-fi stuff that you were into, and probably still are because let's face it, we never grow up. Out of everything, what has been your favorite universe? Your favorite thing to have been into and enjoyed?
That's a big question. Inside.
It's what we do here.
That's really tough. Does it have to be a universe
I
or
tell you what, give me
a
five.
genre?
Just
A
give me
genre of sci-fi.
no genre, just like a specific. Let's say I don't know, Star Wars, like a Star Trek, like just whatever comes off the top of your mind. What have you been more into?
I loved Star Wars growing up. To be fair, that was like family sort of movies growing up over Christmas. Like, it was on every Christmas. We'd always watch it. So Star Wars, I guess, but I kind of got off Star Wars since it got Disneyfied. If I'm being honest, don't want to get cancelled on Instagram Live or anything. But The Force Awakens, I really enjoyed, and then I just felt like they all went a bit downhill. Rogue One was good, and then again, it's same with the Marvel stuff. I was well into Marvel when all that was coming out, since Iron Man, and then after Endgame, again, it's all gone a bit to the wind on it. The Spider-Man 3 was good. Love Spider-Man. Spider-Man was what got me into comics, I guess. Back when I was a teenager was when the Tobey Maguire movie came out. Was it around 2000s, I want to say?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So I was like 14 or something, I guess. I think that's like doing the best there. But yeah, I got into anime much earlier because I was always into like animation. As a kid, I loved like all the any sort of cartoon that was on, and then obviously I would say Dragon Ball Z was the first thing I remember, but it wasn't because I snuck into my dad's lock cupboard and stole an anime out of there I probably shouldn't have watched when I was like 7, called Ninja Scroll. I don't know if
Yes.
anyone's ever heard of that, but it's like the best fucking movie ever. It was my first like I was 7, and the first scene is some woman getting raped, some guy getting cut in half by a stone ninja. It's crazy.
It's
Amazing
fucking great.
introduction to that. Because I like before that, I would have said, like as a 7-year-old, my favourite movie was Aladdin or some shit. And then all of a sudden, I get introduced to the Ninja Scroll. It wasn't my dad's fault. He's sadly not with us anymore, so he can't take the blame. But I broke into this cupboard. Yeah,
Ninja Scroll is.
and then I got obsessed with anime, obviously, and some dark anime in that cupboard. I tell you, all the dodgy stuff I shouldn't have been watching, like Urotsuki Doji, and like, that's the really dark. It's the really really bad stuff.
Demon Siege and all of that. Yeah,
So I was
it is mad though.
Death Note, all that sort of stuff.
It is funny because I don't think age-wise there's not too much between us. But I remember Donkey's Go Channel 4, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, would stick on like an anime or something, and a mate of mine recorded Akira, and it got passed around our class, and everyone was like, "What is this madness?" But that was a gateway for me because then the next one was Ninja Scroll, all the ones that you've named, and there's something about that. Something about that early 80s, 90s, late 80s, early 90s anime stuff that was just raw, and they didn't give a crap. And now you stick something on, and it's all a bit CG, it's all a bit fancy, and I don't know, it just doesn't.
Like they're blocking out scenes. They've got like black lines across, so you can't see the gore. It really winds me up, and you have to like search high and low for like an uncensored version just so you can see it. Like this guy, it was dripping a bit of blood. Wow, sorry, I'm so sensitive. I can't see that. That is crazy.
It sounds like
Akira was a fantastic movie. That the Akira slide that El Miniaturista did. Oh, that dirty bat. He's an absolute genius. Like, but that's so iconic. What a movie. Like.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit like how WWF went, where they stopped showing you the guys getting hit in the head with chairs. That's all you watched it for, was like the actual proper violence, none of this fake shit.
I always remember
Overfiend on. Torhammer's just said he put Legend of the Overfiend on at 13. Yeah, that's probably I was probably around then. I probably saw it before. Like I say, I got into that cupboard young and didn't tell my dad because I was watching all these old anime movies.
No, but you are right.
I've never watched anime.
You
know what?
Anime. Oh, dude, watch some of the ones we've mentioned. Like,
no, you're all
right.
Ninja Scroll. It's so good.
There's some that you do have to.
I know.
There's some that you do have to just. Sorry, I'm talking over.
Sorry.
No, we're both excited about this topic, and that's the thing. I think that's what is shining through it. But there are some that you can actually sit down and watch. And I get it's a cartoon. I get you sitting there like thinking it's a cartoon. I'm a grown bloody man. But for the film quality of it, like some of them tell better stories than Hollywood put out.
That's what I said for a long time. I will agree with you, to be fair, Case. Nowadays, it has gone a bit Disneyfied, and it's all the same. It's all just remakes of remakes, or they're all just isekais, which is like when someone dies and gets transported into a game world or some other fantastical universe or something. And it's all just the same, a lot of it. No, hentai and anime are a bit different, but that's the cultural divide, isn't it? People who look at anime from the outside and don't get it will often just think, "Oh, that's just hentai. That's just kiddie porn, or whatever." But it's not. It's like you said. They've been telling better stories for so much longer. And look at the Koreans. They're doing the same. They're now telling better stories than Japan, I would say. They've been creating better content for a while in terms of TV, like Squid Game and stuff. Again, season 2 was a weird way to end season 2. They probably should have just finished season 2 instead of splitting it into 2 seasons. That's what it feels like. But no spoilers.
I'll tell you what, it's even like some of the films, like the zombie film Train to Busan is quality.
Train to Busan is like the best zombie movie ever made, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
and then some of the war films they put out about the Korean War are absolutely.
I've not seen those.
Dirt. Like I watched one. there's one that I would recommend to both of you called Brotherhood, which is these two brothers. They get split in the Korean War. One ends up having to fight for the North. One has to fight for the South, and it's just like it is like it's prime piss take, but at the same time, you can't help but just get wrapped up in the madness of it. But you're right. It is just a case of, and don't I tell you what, if there's one that you're ever going to go out and watch, Barefoot Gen, which is about a kid living in Hiroshima when the bomb goes off, and it is fucking amazing. It's on YouTube. Go look it up, and it's about 90 minutes long.
I would
It's
say
45 minutes
if you're going to
before it
introduce
happens,
yourself,
45 minutes after. It is mustard.
I'd say if you're going to introduce yourself to any of these sort of foreign movies, do it with subtitles as your intro, because I
Yeah,
feel for anime, for Korean stuff, I just find you're going to lose so much if you watch a dub, because it's just somewhat. A lot of the time, I feel it's like a really poor voiceover, and they're just losing a lot of it, and you're just going to get that raw emotion from the original stuff. I do watch a lot of stuff in dub, to be fair, a lot, because it's easier. I don't have to train my eye on the bloody subtitles, and I certainly can't be learning languages in my old age. But yeah, like Squid
you know
Game,
what?
I couldn't watch it in the American dub. I tried, and I was just like, no, this is too cringe.
Yeah, and I'll hold you on that because there's the one thing about the original Akira dub that always kind of put me off is the gangs led by Michelangelo from Ninja Turtles. Like Kaneda in the original dub is Michelangelo from Ninja Turtles, and it's just like when I first watched it, I was like, "Hang on, what the
You
fuck?"
can't take that seriously at all.
Well, you know what? It was fine after a couple of minutes. It's just like I got over it because of how good Akira was. So that was all
Right.
right. But then any other time he pops up and stuff, I'm like, oh, "Fuck off, Michelangelo," and just get a bit annoyed. So
I think I might have seen one anime, Fist of Fist
it's
of
the
North.
North Star
This is the North Star. That's a
Yeah,
good one.
quality.
Yeah,
Just beats the shit out of people and their heads pop. It's perfect. You don't need any other sort of story to that.
yeah.
yeah, definitely. Soul of the
So,
Strangers is a good one about samurais and stuff, if you're into that sort of stuff.
staying off topic, then we'll move into our lovely off-topic questions that we always enjoy doing. Because this makes or breaks a guest, I think. Don't you agree?
Yeah. The topic questions were the warm up. You're now in the final 100 metres of the
I'm
race.
pretty sure I know what the questions
We've
are, because I've
got our
seen quite
claws
a
into
few
you now.
of
That's what it is.
into the
So,
meat. And bones of it.
I've been sitting here tonight, necking away American piss water. Fuck you, Sam. What is your beverage of choice, and what is your snack of choice when you wash down that? Where you're washing your beverage down with your snack, whatever. I don't know. I'm getting it muddled up. But what do you eat and what do you drink? I've fucked it up. I'm sorry. I'm gonna quit. I give up.
Too much piss water, that's what
So
it
good.
is.
Which
Not
one do you want me to
enough.
start with? The drink. I don't drink alcohol, really. I try not to. I did have a drink last weekend for my friend's stag do, and I was drinking vodka Red Bulls to keep myself
Oh,
awake and try and get.
oh man, you're giving yourself the heart rate of a BBC changing room in the 70s.
I mean, I don't drink. Like, if I was a drinker, I quit when my dad died because he died of alcoholism, and I watched him poison himself for a number of years, so it's kind of put me off. I pushed myself and got drunk with my friends the other week. I did not feel good for it the next day and the following day and Monday just gone. But if I was when I was a drinker, I guess I was drinking JD whiskey. I was a whiskey.
So, what about your soft of choice? What you want? Are you drinking Coke, Pepsi? Do you enjoy a tea or a coffee?
I'm a big coffee drinker, but if my soft drink of choice would probably be a grape Fanta or some sort of fruit, any sort of fruit. Grape Fanta, very American choice,
Yeah.
but I love that.
You get that in Five Guys at the moment, don't you? Grape Fanta.
No, not the stuff.
I don't
Not
agree
the
with it.
stuff you get. No, none of that shit. None of the stuff you get out of a machine from a fast food place in the UK. No, don't buy that. That's not it. That stuff's crap. It's imitation. Grape Fanta you're gonna have to find from like a local corner shop or something that has all the different like imported drinks. And it's going to be an import. It's either going to have like Japanese or Korean writing on it, or it's going to be the American version they've imported in. Grape Fanta is nasty.
And that's
Yeah,
from
it is.
a man in America. So, you know.
Fizzy drinks, really, but I do love
So,
them. But Red Bull,
crisp of choice. What are we on?
at the moment, me and the missus are we're on a cheese ball kick from the Tesco cheese balls. We fucking love those things.
Yes.
The cheap
I know.
cheese balls from Tesco's.
Yeah,
Big bags of.
they are probably the best cheesy balls I've ever had,
Hey,
apart from that one night.
I love a cheesy ball in my mouth.
Apart
Yeah.
from that one night back when I was younger, I had some cheesy balls. But
What have
Tesco do a good cheesy ball.
Tesco do a good cheap shit snack. Their bacon things are quality.
Oh yeah, their bacon fries are
McCoy's,
fucking good.
the McCoy's, any of the barbecue or cheese and onion McCoy's, I love. Just licking that. Only like they're hit or miss though, like any crisp. I haven't found a consistent crisp that has got a good amount of flavouring on it every time I open a bag. Like if you've got a recommendation, let me know because.
Yeah, mine are done choices of stuff are just so varied. Like I don't think we agree on a crisp, do we, Donk?
No, we don't. Apart because you like discos and
Dr Pepper
discos.
whiskey is the new way.
Because you like
Never
discos and
go back to
discos
Dr.
are fucking crap.
Just go to sick. Get over it.
They are sick. That's why my wife buys them, because she knows that they're safe, that I won't eat them if she buys them.
My partner
It's like eating cardboard, man.
buying all the healthy crisps, or she'll just buy the low cal ones. Like it's just loads of bloody quavers at the moment, or skips. And then
Actually, quavers. I like a quaver.
I do
yeah,
like
I
a
don't
quaver
mind the
as well.
quaver to be fair. They're not too bad.
But none of this newfangled barbecue prawn cocktail. It's got to be OG cheese flavour quavers. None of this newfangled.
They're not new.
I bought her some prawn cocktail ones, thinking she might like them, and yeah, she hasn't eaten more. I think she had 2 bags, so that's it.
I think prawn cocktails is devil's flavour anyway.
I do like the roast beef monster munch as well, though, to be fair.
Oh yes. Oh yes. It's chocolate.
I don't want to go and buy loads of snacks now. We're going to have to finish before 9:30 so I can make it to Morrison's, otherwise I'm fucked.
Oh, we'll be well finished before 9:30.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
I'm a precious princess and I'm working in the morning, so yeah.
Yeah, same.
You're a beautiful princess as well, Donk.
Well,
You
you
know,
know, I shave my hair. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So see when you're painting, what do you listen to? Do you listen to podcasts? Do you listen to whale noises? Do you listen to?
I listen to podcasts mostly nowadays. If I'm not watching like brushstrokes tutorial on how to paint a certain color or how to thin my paints, so I'm just constantly got someone drilling it into me. I'm listening to podcasts in the hobby mostly at the moment. I should probably be learning the law, like you've suggested, like watch some like long form law videos, but that's again a bit overwhelming for me at the moment. I'm just diving into the painting, and I'm trying to paint as fast as I can, which is slow, real slow. Trying to paint as fast as I can so that I can play games with my friend, because that's what he wants to do. He wants to play games. And I want to play games as well, but my OCD will not allow me to paint a miniature to not the best of my ability every time. Like, I'm painstaking over it, and like, if I'm messing it up, or like I almost stripped the whole backpack I've been painting the other day because I messed up the heart I was trying to freehand. I thought I'm gonna have to strip it because I got some texture in it, and that's something I still haven't mastered. Like not getting flecks of texture all on my paint, and I'm thinking, how the fuck's this getting in there? And it's probably I'm not cleaning my brushes enough, or regularly enough, maybe, or a bit of dust because I'm in a bloody dusty flat in a big open plan room, like So I'm not in laboratory conditions, but that's what I want to produce. It's tough.
So, off topic still.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, because we're staying off topic for a bit. We do this as a section. Don't worry. We'll always come back to your hobby. Don't worry about it. Fry ups. What must you have on a fry up, and what are you taking off it?
And why are you taking it off?
I'm taking off the black pudding because my old man used to have that all the time. Like, I don't know, it must have been something as a kid that he put me off it because I've never wanted to touch it. I don't know why, because he used to have it all the time, but it just looked horrible. And also, we'll take the mushrooms off, but nothing else, because I just don't like the mushrooms, man. They're slimy. It's slimy textures. I can't do slimy textures. If there's
So then
anything,
you're not taking the beans off. You're leaving the beans, but you don't like a slimy texture. That's
that's not. I don't find that too slimy though. Beans. Yeah, that's a weird
okay.
one, I suppose. But I love beans.
I've ruined beans for you
Just
now,
had, I just
probably.
had I just had bangers, mash and beans for dinner. Good old English breakfast. Yeah, yeah. I won't take much else off. I love a good fryer. I wish I'd had one the other day when I was hungover. To be fair, because it was the first time in 2 years I've been hungover, so I was a bit precious. But I had to drive over from Liverpool. Good flight, 3 hour plus drive. So tough work.
Where is home? I missed that bit.
Where is home? I'm from Gloucester.
Okay.
If you know Gloucester, it's near the Cotswolds.
Yep.
Well, it's right next to a town called Cheltenham where they have the races and GCHQ. So you might
Yeah,
people might.
so you're busy that way this time of year now, aren't you?
Yeah. It's always busy where I am, mate. Just because of my job and my missus never let me rest. Oh, bless her, she's good, but they don't let you rest. Do they?
No, they don't ask for that, and they deliberately don't let you rest. Do you know what I mean?
You could
But
finish a list of 100 jobs, and they'll have another 100 for you when you're done. Like, you know. But
my missus, I was giving out to my missus one day about all the stuff she was asking me to do. She's like, I don't understand why you're still with me if you're annoyed with me so much. And I just said to her, well, it's not going to suck itself. That wasn't really the answer that she was looking for. So that was
No, that's never the answer.
no. Got to be much more diplomatic than that.
That was a frosty few weeks of no chat.
So here's one then, and again, this sort of ties in. This is something that we always ask as well. When you first broached with your missus that, right, I am going to start painting toy soldiers, because obviously I imagine you were together for a while before this popped up. How did you go about that? Because for a lot of guys that we've had on, it's always a case of they've done it for years and then all of a sudden they break something out of a cupboard and be like, by the way, I do this, and it's but you've gone the other way around it. So I imagine you were in your relationship for a while and then you've decided to start painting stuff. And how did that conversation go?
Yeah. So again, I didn't start for a couple of like at least a week when I bought the stuff to begin with. So I don't know when. I think I told her before I started painting, obviously, because we live in a one-bed flat. So there's not much hype. Once I started buying all this stuff, all these paints, putting them on display, but no, she supported me in it really, like straight away. I would say
Okay.
she's really supportive. And like I say, I got into it because at the time I was really struggling with my mental health. I needed something to take my mind off everything that was going on in my life. I was dealing with like news of we're going for a big merger at work, and I've only been in this role for a year, so I'm potentially at risk. I was dealing with a lot personally with family, quite a few losses in my life recently with big parts of the family. I've got a few members of the family who are going through difficult times with their own mental health, their own personal lives, and it was all just getting to me a lot. Like I say, I just found my hobby and found that this whole I can just pour myself into it, and the world just melts away, and that is so good for me personally, for my own health.
And that's the good thing about this hobby is that if you are going through a tough time, you can just throw on a podcast or you can just throw on a bit of music, as long as it's not the Beatles, and just grab your brush and just start doing a wee bit of painting. And it does seem to just block everything out. And I think, thanks for sharing what you're going through as well, by the way, because I know it's tough to say this, especially in front of as many people as we have in the chat just now. And I think that's one of the reasons why we started doing this podcast, to get people a wee bit of recognition who are small painters, but also to bring up, especially for men, mental health issues and that as well, to see if it does help them with their mental health. And for me, it does. For Keith, it just makes his beard longer. So, yeah.
No, honestly, it really, really helps my mental health. Like you say, I've got a mind that is just constantly racing. I've struggled with my mental health for years. I first started having troubles during the pandemic. I've really suffered with like the change of working life from home and stuff, and I hated working from home. I didn't like because I had high pressure job, and it got even more high pressure being from home. I was expected to do more, and then, I was dealing with that. That was tough. And since then, I was on medication for a few years, antidepressants and stuff like that, and they gave me a lot of weird side effects. They did help, but I got quite a few side effects I wasn't enjoying, so I eventually came off of those. And then more started happening in my life. I was struggling again, but I found this hobby. Like I say, it enables me to focus on one thing, not just sit in front of the telly. No matter how much escapism I've got on screen, it just wasn't allowing me to get away from everything. Like painting, when I've got this model in my hand and I've got this idea and I want to put that idea onto this model, and it's going to take time and patience, and those things. It just fits my personality really well.
And how did you find coming off your antidepressants? Because like I'm on antidepressants, and I tried to come off them myself, and I found that the withdrawals were quite weird. Did you have any weird experiences with that?
I was having weird side effects that I wasn't enjoying, and I was talking to the doctors like, it must be from these things, because I wasn't like this before. But also, I don't know what, like, probably not right to ask you what beds you're on, but I was on citalopram. I wasn't on a massively high dose, so I don't know. I think I couldn't tell you, 10 milligrams or 20 maybe. But I found it was numbing me. It helped regulate my mind and my emotions, but it also numbed a lot of me, which I wasn't enjoying. And it did take some time. It's like any drug. If you're on anything, if you're drinking, if you're a smoker, coffee, anything that you come off that you've been addicted to for a time, because I'm a smoker as well. I was a smoker. Trying to quit that is bloody difficult. And withdrawals can be like hot and cold sweats, not sleeping, all that sort of stuff. But I didn't really suffer too many, I don't think, because I just wanted to get off them and get rid of these side effects I was having. I thankfully did in the end. But it's still a battle. Mental health is you're never gonna fix it like you could an infection, depending on what you're suffering with, because everyone's got different disabilities and different difficulties with their mental health. I suffer from anxiety and depression, stress. There's a lot of stress in life. I don't know how anyone's living in this economy and not stressed.
That's a fair point, man.
Yeah, but again, for the mental health side of things, the community has been a massive bonus as well. Because this community that I found, it's not a big community. I'm not 20k followers or anything just yet, not even at 2. But the people I found in this community and the support I get from just complete strangers, or these people that I'm now like beginning these little hobby friendships and potentially going to meet some of them at events I'm going to later in the year, which is super cool, because I'm pretty much like the Paul Rudd archetype from I Love You Man. And when my missus and I get married eventually, she's going to have this huge wedding party, and I'm going to be there with my brother and my nephew. Like, all right, so what are we doing? So I've got to find friends. So I'm going to make it in the hobby. That's my plan.
Well, if you need the Inquisition there to make sure that everybody behaves in a non-heretical sense, me and Casey will be there for you, but we'll only charge 50 quid an hour. That's not including accommodation that you have to pay for, and I'll eat anything.
Yeah, he'll eat anything. I'll drink.
When are you two eventually meeting up for your long away?
Oh, I think we're scheduled to do that in about 2029.
Yeah, it'll happen. We keep saying it'll happen.
I thought you were planning a Warhammer World Trip or something this year.
Yeah, I think it's we talk about it, and we've never actually sat down and said, right, let's do it. But then I might also be over in Ireland at some point in the next couple of months. I don't know yet, because it depends on my dad. My dad's 70th is coming up, and one of his cousins who lives not far away from Dunk's turning 50. So Apparently, he wants to go over to Ireland and have a joint party, and he hasn't sorted anything out with that. So fuck knows. But it will happen. It will happen. Donkey will get to slap me. It's fine.
Well, the thing is, I think we're now getting to the point where when we meet each other, is it going to be a case of we'll talk to each other for 5 minutes and regret
It's like
meeting each
the
other?
dating apps back when you're on dating apps and you're just constantly talking to someone for like 3 months, and then you eventually meet and you're like, oh no, it's
Nah, because what will happen is we'll meet up and then we'll bond. We'll have a chat like, all right, yeah, all right, and then we'll find something we don't like and rant about it for like an hour. That'll be it. That's
Yeah.
it.
And
Because
I'll
that's
just say, hi, I'm Duncan. And he'll go, yeah, I know you're Duncan. And I'm like, yeah, but I just want to let you know that I'm Duncan. And you're like, yeah, I know that. Like, I've been conversing with you for the last 15 years. What I'm hoping for, right? What I'm actually hoping for is that the Mechanicum somehow managed to create Silver Black, and then Silver Black relaunches. Surprise, surprise.
what. And either I rock up to Ireland or you rock up here,
Bob,
and like Cilla Black unveils a curtain, and you're just standing behind it like, what? That's it.
and then Bob Carroll, Jesus, there with Spit the Dog. And it's like,
for anyone that's not from the UK and age 30 plus. Cilla Black used to do a game show called Blind Date back in
Oh, it was quality.
was that a 90s
yeah,
show?
80s.
Was
Yeah,
it
80s and 90s.
the 90s? Yeah, Cilla
Also,
Black was fucking.
Amanda Holden's first TV bit as well. She was on Blind Date. There we go.
Back when dating seemed wholesome.
Yeah, because there was that, and there was what was the other one? There was Blind
Look,
Date, and then they did
like,
the
the dating shows now, I can't stand them.
Oh,
Oh,
naked attraction. Here, look at this fella's cock. Do you fancy him?
oh
Like, what?
no. I mean, like the Love Islands and the Love Is Blind, all this. I can't cope with it. My missus loves it.
Yeah.
Just, I'd rather be shot.
Yeah,
What are you
see
saying?
that?
Yeah, for donkey. You watch Love Island?
I've also,
You
but see
dirty
that
bastard.
but see that Love Is Blind. That is a cult thing. That is pure cultish, right? But here's a question for you, right? Do you remember the game show or the kind of show that Vernon Kay did in Channel 4, where the person got, like, say it was like one, like, all these women had to vote for a guy, and all these women had to vote, or these guys had to vote for a woman, and then that had to narrow it down, right? And you won 100 grand, but you had to spend it within a certain amount of time, and you got to pick somebody from the audience to take you with it. Does anybody remember that
No,
show?
Definitely
no,
not.
you've lost me
But
on
I
that.
like I said earlier, I got into anime early, so I stopped watching British TV very early, and I
Yeah, but
just followed.
this was Channel 4, like when they had the Word and Eurotrash and all that
So
sort
it
of
was
thing.
like early T4 days.
Channel
No,
4.
this is like Saturday night, 9 o'clock at night.
Oh,
Oh no,
bloody hell. No, I
right.
Probably
don't.
another one of those memories I've knocked out with the contact.
I'm telling you, Vernon Kay did a TV show. It was a kind of game show where if you won the money, you had like a week to spend it in. And I think like one of the I remember like one of the criteria was you could only buy things that started with an M.
I don't know, but this is a throwback TV show that I do remember from my raving days, from like 18, 19, I suppose, maybe younger. But back in the day on Channel 2 at like 3, 4 in the morning, there used to be this TV show. But obviously, someone in BBC production was a ravehead or was into their psychedelics, because this show was only for people that were tripping their minds out, because it was the most random shit I'd ever seen in my life. I couldn't tell you what the name of it was, but
Oh,
it was like I say,
yeah.
it was the most obscure, crazy, random, just skit show of just bonkers stuff happening. Like all of a sudden, a fish would be on a plate, and then it would be a hammer, and then the plate would get smashed, and then this woman would be like screaming, and then her head would turn into a balloon. It was crazy, and that was a real
That sounds a
show.
bit amazing,
It
but
used to show on Channel 2 at crazy, stupid o'clock in the morning when you got home after a night out in the club. Like, bonkers.
that does sound a bit amazing.
So that was the one that I remember.
That sounds
But
more like a Channel 4 TV show than a
Yeah.
BBC Two,
pretty sure
doesn't it?
maybe it was Channel 4. I'm remembering BBC 2 though, for some reason. I'd have to Google it. Like, if I don't know anyone in the chat
I'm
would even know.
going to
bet it's
Google
that
that Vernon Kay show, and I'm going to send you a clip because it was mental.
See, I've got confused when you said that. I thought because I always used to, as a kid, I always used to get Vernon Kay and Paddy McGuinness confused because they're both northern, they're both lanky, and they're both on. They were always on the random shit. Because I thought you were referring to the Paddy McGuinness show where it's like no likey, no lighty, and that one.
Take Me Out in Channel 3.
Yeah.
Honestly, no idea.
The TV was much better then, wasn't it, really? Come on, let's face it. It was.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it
used
was
to.
aimed more at families that were sat around the TV together, wasn't it? Back then.
I don't know, man, because but there
TV
was definitely TV in the mid-90s was definitely like campy. But if you ever remember watching the Crystal Maze, how camp did Richard O'Brien play that part?
But it was
Crystal
because
Maze
Richard O'Brien was camp as shit.
Oh yeah, and
that was a
Mumsy.
great show.
Oh, I hear.
Love
Crystal
that.
Maze was probably the best show
Yeah.
because I watched a documentary on it, and Richard O'Brien was saying like these were simple games, like drive a dune buggy from point A to point B, but the controls are backwards. But because you put a time constraint on things, people lose their shit.
Yep. But as well, it's like it's not just Crystal Maze. Like you had other stuff, and again, same with the date thing. There used to be. This is the weirdest one I remember. Chris Tarrant did one called Man Oh Man,
Yep,
where it was
yep,
just
that was from German TV.
and it was just ridiculous. It was just one woman and 100 blokes, and she had to whip them down, and then by the end, they've all got to do strip shows and backflip on TV and stuff. And it's just like, what the is this? But
What
even
was
kids'
the
TV,
what was the Keith Chegwin one where he ended up naked in it? They
naked
all ended up naked.
Jungle Run.
Yeah.
It was a kids' show called Jungle Run on CITV, and it was like a little assault course, and it had like a water slide at the end. It was sick. And then Keith Chegwin did an adults one, and they were all naked. And it was like, oh, this ruins this show forever and forever. Fucking Keith Chegwin of all people. Like, no one needed that. No one needed that in their lives.
No, I was probably watching Toonami when all that was on, to be honest.
See,
Can't even-
I'm going to ask you about this stuff as well, because obviously Toonami, I remember that Cartoon Network. Perfect. Did you dive into the Adult Swim stuff as well that always followed on from it?
Not really. I don't know if I had the Adult Swim channel. Or did they?
If you had Cartoon Network, you had Adult Swim back in the day as well.
It's not one I remember watching. Did they have that Robot Chicken on Adult Swim?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not something I got into, to be
But-
fair. I watched a lot of South
Yeah,
Park, which was Adult Swim, I guess. Was it? Or was that Comedy Central?
South Park was Comedy Central, yeah.
Yeah.
Channel 4 Comedy Central. That's because that was it. I got into that on Channel 4 when it first came out.
Big South Park fan.
You need to watch the Robot Chicken Star Wars stuff. Some of that stuff.
I've seen that on YouTube, to be fair, some of that. I think I've seen the Robot Chicken YouTube, Star Wars stuff. Any sort of stuff like referencing pop culture, I love. But cartoons, anime.
Here's a good one. Here's a good one we never asked, Dunk. Do you prefer Simpsons, South Park, or Family Guy?
South Park, 100%. There's no question. One's an adult show, well, for teens, and the rest are kids' shows, right? Well, no, I suppose, which one was the other one? American Dad or Family Guy?
Family Guy.
Family Guy, I suppose, is a bit more adult than Simpsons. Simpsons can do all sorts, though. They've been predicting the future for 20 odd years, they're doing something right. I loved The Simpsons growing up, but I fell off of that by season 15. It's on season 30, 40, crazy, something like that.
Yeah, all good.
I preferred Futurama over The Simpsons.
Oh, Futurama was amazing. I haven't seen the new season because they've done something new, and I haven't seen it. I love Futurama, but it probably did need to get cancelled because it was getting a bit. First 2 seasons were fabulous though, and they were better than The Simpsons.
Oh,
but if they'd have put the time into it like they did The Simpsons, I think it could have been amazing. I love that.
What I like about South Park is I've been watching a lot of kind of YouTube stuff about South Park recently, and they're saying that they went hard at Family Guy because it's like a blah 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 blah, and then there's a joke, but the way your man Trey Park and that says like we don't do a joke, the joke has to go somewhere, It's got to be a consequence to the joke, and then they did that. But when you watch like Family Guy and American Dad, it's just a random joke, and it's just no
Yeah.
baiting on the episode. Whereas like their episodes are quite well thought out. The joke's there for a reason, not just for a cheap.
South Park, they are geniuses. Those two.
Yeah.
Matt and Trey Parker, is it?
Yeah.
Matt Stone, Trey Parker, yeah.
Matt Stone.
They-
That's it. I don't know why I was calling them brothers.
It's the ones that stand out.
And I don't know if you've seen the documentary Making South Park, where it shows you like how they produce an episode. I forget what episode it is, but they show you the behind the scenes, and they're essentially doing this in a week.
Yeah.
They're like getting all their writers together and saying, right, we're going to write this episode. Here's the concept, and then they're just figuring it out, scripting it out in the room, and then it's done and animated, and it's all done in a week. That's crazy.
It was when Steve Irwin died, and the episode was.
That's right.
It was just like a mad episode. It was like Satan's super sweet 16th birthday, and they were like, Steve Irwin's in it, and it's like, you can't come in, you're not in fancy dress. It's like, fuck off, man. It's been like a couple of days, and you're just going for it straight away.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
It's just, what is it? He's turned up with the
Yeah,
swordfish.
the things still sticking out of him.
Yeah, the sting.
It's also the other ones they go and pay their time on. Like the Lord of the Rings episode to me is still one of the best things on TV.
Psychology one.
Yeah, the World of Warcraft one.
The Tom Cruise in the closet one. Oh,
yeah,
so many good ones.
Kanye West and his fish sticks.
My favourite is probably Scott Tenorman Must Die. Oh, classic episode, dude.
It's the best revenge story ever.
Fucking cooks the guy's parents and feeds them to him as chili. That's so Cartman. I love that. And then the one where Cartman's personality kind of splits and he's going all crazy and you see it. Oh, I love any Cartman episode. He's the best protagonist, antagonist, the whole show.
Last year where I lived, Halloween, had all the kids coming around and trick-or-treating, and I'd open the door, here's a bowl of sweets, go on, fuck off. But one kid rocked up as the Cartman robot.
The Awesome robot.
Yeah, he had the boxes, he had it all, and like he's standing behind his two sisters, and I was like, you two move out of the way, let me see this guy. And he walked forward, and I was like, yeah, you get extra, mate, you've put effort into that. And he's like, you know what this is? And I was like, yes, you probably shouldn't know what it is, but have more sweets. It was sick.
I mean, my nieces and nephews are all into South Park now, and they probably shouldn't be watching it, but in fairness, I was probably watching it at a very young age as well. And back when I was growing up, video shops were a thing where you go and rent like videos, VHS. All these young people, everything's streaming these days. We used to have to go and rent a video from a store, and we had an agreement there that as long as we didn't go into the porno section, because there used to be like adult porn sections in shops back in the day, in the early 90s, they'd let us rent anything. So I was renting Die Hard and Hellraiser and all the horror movies I could get my absolute hands on. Like anything with an 18 tag I was getting at the age of like 9. I was just cycling down to the video shop, renting whatever I wanted and consuming all the stuff that
Best thing about Blockbuster. That was the best thing about.
And you also rent.
It wasn't a Blockbuster, in fact. It was just like a local video sort of rental.
Better.
And you could also rent computer games.
Yeah, back when Blockbuster was a thing, that was what I was doing every Friday. Was going out there and renting games for my chipped Xbox or.
Get that 64 game for 3 days. You'd have the weekend to just smash it out and then take it back Sunday night. Yeah. Good memories.
So I'm just going to jump.
DVDs. I used to have a massive wall of DVD collection. That's since gone.
Yeah.
But because everything's on a hard drive these days.
Sad, isn't it?
I'm just going to jump back on hobby for the last 10, 15 minutes now. Where do you see yourself? Are you going to maybe push yourself forward like a golden demon just to see where you go, or
I mean, I want to keep improving because I do. Like, I'm looking at my painting now and I'm thinking, yeah, it's good, but like, I want to do what they're doing on the box, or why can't I do what they're doing? Some of it's down to tools. Like
Photoshop. It's all down to now. It's all Photoshop. Don't believe it in the box.
I mean, I don't tend to use Photoshop and stuff. I do my really nice photos. I have taken on a good camera, like a DSLR camera, like a professional camera with a good lens in relatively good lighting. I don't have all the soft boxes and stuff and loads of lights. I've got my task lamp and a couple of small macro lights that I've used for some of the shots with like different color backgrounds. I've used these different filter lights and stuff to like improve that. And I will put it into Lightroom just to improve the lighting, but not to edit the miniature in any way, just to get the most natural, true to light image I can. Same with video, I guess, but I'm not doing anything to touch up the image or make sure that I've got paint strokes here or I've gone out of the lines or anything. I'm trying my best to stay in the lines as best I can and like following advice from top painters. I'd love to be able to win a painting competition, but I don't think that's in the cards for me anytime soon. I think I need to say that. Like this, you shouldn't compare yourself to anyone other than yourself, I suppose, because you're only ever going to be better than you were previously. You can't. None of it. There's no magic bullet to just improve overnight. It's just time and skill. One thing I have done is try to be really consistent and paint every day if I can. Like that has been a big thing for me as well. Like even if it is just 30 minutes of me just playing with the models on the desk and not really getting much painting done, but just trying to keep myself familiar with it, because I feel like if you're just being sporadic with it, just doing it on the weekends, like that's going to take even longer to build up that muscle memory and that skill, because it's about painting and you've just got to keep painting strokes until you learn how to handle and manipulate the paint that you're working with and brush control, because it takes time to build that skill. But yeah, I'd love to win some painting competitions, but I don't think I will. I'm going to try and push myself and enter something to some of the events I'm going to. If I can get what I'm working on now finished, I will try and enter ChillCon. But that is like a couple of weeks away, and I really don't think I'm finishing this because he's still like just base coded. This is the little kit bash I've done. So,
I saw you actually put that onto as the build online. I saw you put that on your thing. I thought it was quality.
I kind of like stuck him on the base so I could show you, but yeah, this is the kit bash I've done. So it's a blade guard, and I've like stolen. I stole a heavy intercessor's left arm and a Hellblaster's pistol.
Yeah.
So he's got a robotic hand, but not a robotic arm. Because the Hellblaster's arm is too small for a blade guard because it's Gravis armor, I want to say.
Yep.
And I've melted his shield. So he's like shooting over like a melted shield. So I want to paint that like molten metal if I can. So it looks like either his plasma has overheated and like melted the shield, or it's taken a shot and he's shooting over it. I'm trying to like really get out of my comfort zone because I've only painted push fits with bases I basically just paint. I don't need to do anything. I just push the model on. There's a pre-made base, like loads of them, like the what are these called? Plague Marines. They've got like Nurglings and stuff on the bases. They've got all sorts of stuff. It's just basically you paint it. You don't need to do any sort of texture paint, nothing. Oh, you got them too? Amazing. Nice work, dude.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I've got mine in a box still. I ain't touched it.
I've got
so I tell you what,
built it but not painted yet. I've kind of like transitioned off and thought I want to try and do something for these events I'm going to. If I can't get it ready for ChillCon, I might take it to Salou, because I'm going to Salou as well later in the year.
I should
and
be at Salou.
Just to get it on the shelf and just be like, oh look, I entered something into a painting competition. But the skill level of some of these people entering comps is crazy. You've got real artists making like dioramas out of frames, like what was his Romulan paints? Can't remember his name, but I saw something today used like that ultra black paint. Had this dragon. He had like the dragon coming out of the cave with just this tiny little Gandalf with a lighter. It just looks insane. I'm just thinking how like the way people's brains works, the way some people are so creative. It's so cool. I'm still following recipes and guides, and that's the most creative I've been so far in the hobby, I'd say. Like,
I think once you start finding your own colour scheme, I think that's when you start noticing the big difference, because I've got different colour schemes for the different armies I'm doing. So like I'm doing, this is my Grey Knight. I'm actually painting him in Grey Knight steel, whereas a lot of people traditionally paint them lead belcher and other stuff. I think once you find your own colour scheme for what you want to paint, then I think you'll notice a massive improvement with yourself there and then as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been following the ultramarine scheme since I started. I thought I'll do ultramarines. I don't know if I put much thought into it over why I wanted those. I like colour blue, I suppose. They're quite Roman-esque in their
Yep.
lore, which I've always like vibed with Roman history and stuff like that. It's been my favourite like sort of history to read about and learn. So I guess that's why I led towards them. My first models after all the introductory stuff were probably poor choices for someone that was trying to build a list. I mean, not that someone trying to get into 40k has got a hope in hell of playing anytime soon if they paint at the speed I paint, because I've got I could play Kill Team, and I've played one game. I played a few games of Kill Team with my friend, and I think he's in the chat watching, to be fair, possibly. But that was a tough experience because neither of us had played a game of it before. We were coming in brand new, trying to follow the rules in the Kill Team starter set, which are really watered down set of rules. We still weren't following them correctly. Like, we played the first game, but we didn't play Plague Marines versus Angels of Death straight out the box. We were playing my Angels of Death versus his Wrecker crew, because he got the new Wrecker crew. And he'd been painting those up, and we thought we'd play those together, and playing those, trying to play them from the rules out of the box and the Wrecker crew rules on the app, I just annihilated him really fast. They just, because we both came at each other like we were playing a game of team deathmatch on Call of Duty, and we just wanted to kill each other as fast as possible. There was no strategy, really, not from my side of the table anyway. And then we switched it up, and we were like, right, we'll proxy your team as the Plague Marines, and we'll play it out the box. And then I got annihilated, and I was like, oh, now I'm having no fucking fun, and I just want to paint. I've spent hours here. I want to paint something, but he really wants to play a game, and I do want to get into the game inside of it, but it's a bit, I will say, it's a bit overwhelming. Again, the rulebooks.
Yeah, it can be. It can be. But you know what? Just do it like you're doing it. Just do it like you're doing it. If you're not sure of any rules, rip them out. Don't bother with them. Like, I played a load of intro games with my mates donkeys ago on Kill Team. We didn't bother with command points because everyone was a bit like, oh, how does this stuff work? If you're not sure, in it off. That is the best advice I can give anyone to start in a game, anyone who's looking to get into it.
People I talk to that play the games have told me Spearhead's a really good one to start off with, because it's a fun, quick game and a good intro to like tabletop. I have got a Spearhead waiting for me to paint them. Got the Seraphon Spearhead because I love fucking Jurassic Park and all that shit. So I've got this idea. I want to paint them like the old school 90s Jeep. You remember that color scheme with the like yellow, light lime green and like orange, like stripe?
Yeah.
I don't know why that's in my head, but that's my idea, and I really want to paint them like that if I can. So
actually, that leads me on nicely to something I was going to ask earlier. I'll ask it now. Where do you see yourself going with all of this? Because obviously you're on your Space Marines. You've got your Seraphon lined up. Do you think you're going to look at something like one of the big models? You're going to sort of tackle
I have a massive
Primarch or something, or is it just for the moment you just want to ease in? Let's take our time here. Don't rush.
So I started off just wanting to learn paint, and then began to think, right, I'm going to build a list. My first purchases were not considering list building at all. They were just like, oh, this looks cool, I want to paint that. I bought some Reavers because they got the really cool like ghost masks.
Yep.
I thought, oh, they look cool. I bought them, and my mate was like, they're the worst unit in the game at the moment, Space Marines. And I was like, okay. And now they're apparently good because they block deep strike or something. Is that right?
Yep.
Or something. I tried to keep up with all this stuff, watching Auspex Tactics and all that, but I don't see myself playing a full game of 40k for some time if I want to get them all painted. That is the ultimate goal, and I have a huge pile of opportunity in that corner. The majority of it's packed away because we're moving house in a couple of weeks. But I have a massive box with all my miniatures in at the moment, and it's dangerous levels of shame. Dangerous levels. I've got.
And I think that's the thing.
I don't want to run through all of it, but I've got some big models. The biggest model I have for my armies, I guess, would be the Psychophage and the Screamer Killer for the Tyranids, because I'm collecting Tyranids and Ultramarines now, apparently. And I've got Gulliman,
Yep.
the Primarch for the Space Marines. I guess that and the Redemptor Dreadnought would be my biggest models that I have currently on the shelf waiting to be painted. They kind of scare me a bit, the big models, particularly Gulliman with all that trim. Because it's just a lot more to paint. I'd love to get an airbrush eventually, because the stuff people are doing with airbrushes is insane. But again, that's another tool you've got to learn, and it's a really complex tool, because you've got to clean it, you've got to maintain it, and then you've got to learn pressure, how to operate it, how to thin your paint correctly. So again, that's something I'm going to have to learn eventually. But I'm still trying to learn a brush at the moment, the manual tool. Yeah.
Right, so I think it's probably best that we kind of call it time there, because time is ticking, and I am a pretty princess, and I do need my beauty sleep. Is there anybody you want to give a big shout out to, or any conventions you've already touched and chilled on that you want to shout out to, or tell people where they can see you as well?
So people can find me on Instagram. I've got a TikTok and a YouTube account as well, but I only really post what I'm posting on my Instagram on those channels at the moment. I'm not really dedicated to them. I've got 1,000+ followers on TikTok, I think. But that's, again, I'm using TikTok as mostly just to edit my videos and then bring them over here, because this is the sort of channel and community I'm focused on mostly. Not that I wouldn't want to do those channels more in the future, but hey, Rich, my cousin's husband has just popped up in the chat. That's where people can find me. In terms of shout outs, shouted out my cousin's husband, Rich, good man. Torhammer, who's in the chat still, I think. Rob, my friend Garth, 40k, who's in the chat. Anyone else who's in the chat who's come here to watch me, I'll shout all of you out. Leon, my friend. There's a few people I don't know, which is cool. What was the other question? It's gone out there.
You going to any conventions this year?
Conventions, yeah. So I'm going to ChillCon in a few weeks, which I'm really looking forward to, and hoping to meet some of the bigger creators that I chat to quite regularly as well, which is going to be really, really cool. So really friendly people in this community. And then I'll be going to ChillCon. I do have a mind to go to UK Games Expo as well, because that's relatively local to me.
Yeah.
I haven't looked into it just yet. I believe it. Is it May, correctly?
May in Birmingham, yeah.
May in Birmingham. So that is up the road for me. That's like a 45-minute drive, so that's nothing. I'll definitely be trying to go to that. Yeah, those are things I'd shout out. Don't know if there's much else I can say, really.
No.
Really appreciate you guys having me on, though.
No, the pleasure was ours. Before we go, Casey, any words of wisdom this week from you?
Plug your sponsors one last time.
R.I.P. George Lowe, Space Ghost, Coast to Coast voice man. He was a big comedy thing in my life when I was younger, and I am very sad because he was only 67. That's no age, and yeah, that's it for me.
Remember, folks, Orange brushes and Siege Scenics for any basing and paintbrush needs that you require. Inquisition on Orange brushes for 10%. 10% off. Folks, next week we actually have Siege Scenics next week to chat about their basing materials and all that good stuff. If you don't follow Blackheart Minis, give him a follow. He's a good guy. Even though he played a big women's sport of American football, he's a big part.
I'll tell you what, that's probably where I lost all my memories, because that felt like being in a car crash for 90 minutes, to be honest. It's just start, stop, hitting people as hard as you can constantly. It was a rough sport.
And don't worry, mate. This will be uploaded on YouTube, so if you do forget that you were on, you can go on YouTube and watch yourself back.
And you'll be there and you'll be cringing away at yourself like, oh my God, did I say that? Because I do that every week when we upload an episode. So
I do it every time I make a video for Instagram, to be honest. Like some people, I've got people coming to me in DMs and stuff saying, oh, your content's great. You've inspired me to do my own and try my own sort of stuff, talking to camera or my own sort of voiceover videos. But honestly, making that stuff, it's not easy. Content creation is fucking hard. It's really cringe because I hate talking to a camera and looking at myself. I hate taking a selfie. My missus winds my missus up no end because I don't take my camera out to take photos of myself. I fucking hate it. I hate looking at myself. I could take 100 and not be happy. So I'm just like, I sack that off. I'm not doing it. But I'm really pushing myself, trying to force myself out of my comfort zone and just continue to create content. Whether that takes me anywhere, I'm not really bothered. I'm just doing it for my own personal mental health, really. Like I say, it's an outlet for me. The fact that people vibe with it and I'm like making new friends and stuff is just a huge bonus. Really, for me, the hobby is something I aim to do with my very good friend who lives quite locally to me. So eventually I want to be playing games with him, doing tabletop stuff. But the painting side is what I've fallen in love with. So.
Just before I go, Nabin's crew, you don't need to paint mini eyes if your units always wear helmets.
Yeah, so I have opted for helmeted Marines recently.
Always helmet.
I have not painted a single mini eye yet. I have painted the Scouts, but I didn't paint the eyes. You know, I just used a wash. I just painted some skin tones and then stuck a bit of dark wash in there. Like, is anyone looking at the eyes of a mini? Like, unless you're taking a photo in 4K, 8K resolution.
Or they're pedantic as fuck. There you go.
I mean, I'd love to be able to paint. Like, have you seen some of the stuff people do? I can't remember who it was. So many amazing creators out there. So it's hard to name everyone. But this guy who's painting the Kill Team Plague Marines at the moment, he did this crazy version of this with like eyeballs on those pustules on his.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't ever compare yourself to others. Just yourself a few weeks ago or last year, you know, or however long it was you started painting. Like, what does your first model look like? If you're better than them, you're doing good work, and it's all going to come in time. Or you'll reach a plateau, and like it's just about finding your style and being happy with it. Because at the end of the day, it's about having fun with it. And if you're not having fun with it, what is the point? Anyway, sorry, boys. I could waffle on for hours.
Fine.
I thought this was going to be the shortest podcast, but I've kept Dunk later than he wants to be. He wants to go to bed, so I will have.
And I've also got a puppy that needs the toilet. We'll definitely try and get you back on either towards the end of the year or this time next year. We'll try and get you back on
that'd be amazing.
for a wee catch up and see how you're getting on.
I'd love to come on anytime, boys. It's been real fun just talking to other people about a hobby.
Well, that's what we'll get to do, man.
I had major anxiety before coming on because I was like, how am I going to talk for an hour about this hobby that I've been doing a few months? Like, I don't know what I'm on about.
We don't know what we're on about either, so don't worry about it, man. But yeah, I'll need to go. Sorry to piss you off, but I really need to take the dog out.
No, anytime, Jen.
Love you guys.
Really appreciate it.
Speak to you later on, folks, and see you next week. Love you all.
Bye-bye.